So this book is well over 120,000 words. If I thought it was bad then, it has gotten so much worse. I'm suspicious. Why is everything going so well? Where did this come from? Harrison, you're dying.
They say the weak will keep your speech low, invading all belief, and I've been grieving through a window.
Hello, it is Nano Day 1. Yay! I'm so excited and also a little terrified. I had a really big and productive day before Nano. I feel like a lot of people on Halloween are just kind of scrambling to figure out the rest of their project. I didn't really do traditional planning in Preptober, and I was kind of just planning as the project required me to plan. Really, my Preptober was just drafting as much as possible so I could be more certain of where the story was by the time NaNoWriMo came around. But yesterday, I had just gotten so many realizations about the project that I had to address. So I was addressing that first and foremost, and then the rest of the night, I ended up making a book cover for book 2 of 7th Virtue, which I decided I would be writing probably a lot sooner than I thought I was going to. I honestly thought I'd be writing 7th Virtue for a long time, but I have a feeling that it's almost done. I mean, the manuscript is at 105,000 words. It's a long book already. I'm excited that it's almost done, but at the same time, oh my god, it's a little scary. But I finished the book cover. It took me about 2 hours, and I had so much fun making the book cover. But I started my day early. I got out of bed at 9:05, made breakfast, got ready. It's almost 10:30 now, and 10:30 is really when I want to start writing. So I am pretty on track for day 1, and then I'm going to make a video on kind of my NaNoWriMo plans, upload it to YouTube so, I can chat with you guys. Before the day starts, I'm going to do some stretching. I have chronic neck pain, and the last couple of days I've been having a flare-up. I'm not sure if it's because the weather is changing. I have no idea. It also sucks that it's the start of NaNoWriMo and I'm not feeling my best. My head feels like it is falling off of my body. Hi guys, it's later on the first day, and this has not been the start to NaNoWriMo that I thought I was gonna get. It's not like it's been a bad start. It's just been a tiring start. I'm exhausted. It's barely 8:30. It's 8:21, and I haven't really done anything that today. I mean, let me revise. I've written 500 words, and then life happened and I had class and I just got home and I'm really tired. I didn't get the big boost into NaNoWriMo that I thought I was going to get. I didn't do the exact hour, which is fine because you have to be adaptable. But anyway, I'm going to do it now. It's 8:20. I'm supposed to be doing schoolwork and I just really don't want to. So I'm just going to focus on writing until I get too tired to write. I did make some tea, but I found out recently that my favorite type of tea, which I thought had caffeine, is decaf. I actually have no idea. I am writing a scene that I've had a note for a really early project, probably since 2018 or something, 2017, 18. I've had this note and I was oh, that would be fun to write because I was always looking forward to writing it and there's no project to put it in. So I just decided to shove it into this book. So I do have quite a bit of direction and I have a good idea of where the book is going, but I didn't do a writing sprint this morning. So I don't know how long it took me to write the 500 words. It wasn't very long, honestly. I was probably writing for 5 minutes. The note itself was 1,200 words. Now I'm not going to write the note because, to be honest, the writing is bad because it's old, but the idea is interesting. So I'm going to just kind of take the idea. So I'm not going to really use any of the words here, but it is a skeleton for me to follow. So the last time I updated this vlog, it was day 1 of NaNoWriMo, and now it is day 5, almost the end of day 5. So I had a really strange week. It was not a good week. In terms of NaNoWriMo, it was a fantastic week, but in terms of life, it was not a good week because I was tired. My chronic pain was so bad. I remember mentioning on the first day, because I've just been editing the clips that I'd filmed on day 1, I was talking about it. If I thought it was bad then, it has gotten so much worse. But with that said, I have somehow still managed to upkeep the NaNoWriMo goal. I think this year is very different from when I've done Nano in the past. I feel really motivated to actually win this year. I think I mentioned it in a couple of my other vlogs, but I've been so used to academic goals and, publishing goals that sometimes it's hard to just remember that you can write and like have writing goals. So it's been fun for me the last couple of days to really immerse myself in the work, and I'm writing a lot. I think I'm supposed to be at 8,335 words today, and I am at 10,000-ish. I've been doing pretty well. I'm consistently at least 1,000 words ahead. I'm gonna try to keep doing that, but I haven't fallen off the bandwagon. Last year, I think I wrote 1,000 or something words on day one, and then I didn't write anymore for NaNoWriMo, and that was it. And the year before that, something pretty similar as well. But for this year, I feel like it's different because like I'm in it. I also feel like the goal is feasible for me, which is strange because like I remember saying in one of my other vlogs, like there's no possible way that I can write 50,000 words a month, but I feel like really confident about it. Granted, it is the first week. So in terms of stats, I've written a couple of chapters. I think I wrote 3 chapters of NaNoWriMo. I am working on a book that I was previously working on. If you're new to my channel and you're just running across this video, I'm not working on a brand new project. I'm kind of being a NaNoWriMo a little bit. I'm just trying to finish my novel. It's a contemporary fantasy novel. So in order to track the word count, I was like manually checking it by like selecting how much I'd written every day. And then I realized that would take forever. And I remembered, I think the first time I participated for NaNoWriMo was when I was also trying to finish one of my other novels, like back in 2015 or 2016. And what I did was I just made a new document for the course of the month that had just the full word count at the bottom. And that way I don't really have to do any math. I don't have to go do any crazy selections. It just tells me the word count. So I'm really excited at where I'm at with the book. Honestly, I kind of wrote an emotional high point that I've been meaning to write for a long time, about a year now in this book. So I'm kind of dealing with the aftermath. It's fun. I have not been experiencing any issues with writing. I feel like I need to knock on wood. Even if I do have a problem, I kind of talk myself through it, or I talk with my critique partner about it, and I'm fine. And it's like, I'm suspicious. Why is everything going so well? I'm just waiting for the day that it kind of flops. But you know, I'm feeling good, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Plans for tonight, I'm just going to try to write as much as possible. It's 8:30. I have not been sleeping properly, so I'm not going to go to bed late today. I'm going to be writing kind of like a fun but quiet scene. The last chapter I wrote, I have a couple of titles. I title my chapters, and I know I talk about this in every single video, but highly recommend titling your chapters if you don't already, because you will learn a lot about how to title. But I have a couple of chapter titles that I can share. Chapter 22 is Mobbing Birds, which is kind of literal. Chapter 23 is Deep Burial, and then 24 is Light Buoy. I have been liking the chapters. I've noticed 7th Virtue chapters have gotten astronomically shorter ever since I started switching points of view between Reeve and Harrison a lot more frequently. I don't really write as long stretches of chapters with them, so I'm not complaining. I'm at an interesting point in this book where none of the characters want to talk to each other, which is really fun. Word count in terms of the actual book, 109,000 words in this book. This was almost 110,000 in the original draft. So this book is well over 120,000 words. Oh my God. When did I write 20,000 words? So let's say I did 10,000 words in 4 days because I hit it by day 4. That's crazy. I don't think I've written that much and so quickly in a really long time. It also showed me that it's so possible with 7th Virtue. Now, I average about 800 words a sprint with 7th Virtue. That is not typical for every single project I write. I think for Feeding Habits, I averaged about 300 words or 400 words a sprint, but 7th Virtue is a much quicker book to write. It is like simpler, it's voicier. I don't really have as many descriptions or similes, metaphors, and stuff like that. So I've been writing it a lot quicker, especially when I'm writing with Harrison. Harrison's hilarious. He's so funny. Most of the narrative is just him cracking jokes, and the book is written in third person present tense, which is my favorite point of view. It's such an easy point of view for me. It's something I really enjoy because you get kind of a little bit of weirdness because it's third present. You usually see third past. You get the immediacy that you often get in first person, but I also get a little bit of distance. But it's interesting to see how the characters' voices often imprint on the third person. So now that I'm writing a lot more Reeve chapters, so I have 2 main characters for 7th Virtue. One is Harrison and one is Reeve. Reeve has a much you know, more poetic voice. Her voice is more serious. Harrison often makes anti-capitalist jokes in the middle of his narrative. And I'm like, where did this come from? Harrison, you're dying. I have this big thing of notes at the very end of my document. So I'm going to go in and clear out some of this because some of it is no longer going to be relevant or I've already written it. The first thing that I'm going to do is listen to the last chapter I wrote. It's not very long. It was like 2,400 words, I think. Chapter 24, and I've been loving this American robot voice on Word. I don't know how good they've gotten at like these AI voices, but it's fantastic. It sounds like an actual audiobook narrator, and I realized how bad the old robot voices used to be. Like back when I first started listening to my work. I've been listening to my work, getting like a robot to read it to me since I started writing back in 2014. And how I used to do it then was copy and paste my work into Google Translate and get Google Translate to read it to me. And the Google Translate voice in comparison to this like actually sounded like a robot. This sounds like a human being. So it's kind of been very fun. I do it in Word. I just do have the automatic text to speech feature enabled on Word. So if you haven't tried it, you should try it. But if you do listen to your work, what's your favorite robot voice? I don't think this one has a name, but it's the United States male voice in Word. Word used to have names for them, like based off of the Microsoft names, but I'm Canadian and I've changed my document to American so I can get this specific voice because it's really good. Hi guys, it is officially November 5th and, oh, it's November 6th. All right. Hey guys, it's November 6th. I had a pretty good writing night last night. I didn't write like an astronomical amount, but I did write more than I needed to. I wrote about 1,900 words. And of course, I'm just trying to hit the typical 1667 every single day. I had a realization earlier today that November is a really busy month, and I knew this already, but it really hit me that like I have a lot of projects and other writing that I have to do for school. I think I have like 5 more poems to write for that class. I'm in a class where I need to write the first like 30 pages of a novel. So I have a lot of other writing to do, but the funny thing is when I'm writing Seventh Virtue, nothing else matters to me. Like the quiz that is due for me on Monday doesn't matter. And I think it's a good thing because I want to put my life above academia. Yesterday, though, I wrote an interesting chapter in Reeves' Head. I called it Foil Balloon. It was chapter 25, I think. It was pretty short. In total, it was just the 1,900 words that I'd written. Like I said, the chapters in Seventh Virtue have been getting uncharacteristically short. The first, like, 20 chapters are quite long. My chapters are usually about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 words in this book. I've actually been getting really accustomed to writing quite long chapters, even though I don't like long chapters. Like as a reader, I prefer much shorter chapters. Maybe it's because like I was approaching writing chapters like how I usually approach writing short stories. So I think I've been enjoying the shorter chapters, but they always feel like unfinished at the same time, even though they're not, because I'm like, oh, I'm used to writing a 6,000 word chapter. Anyway. Chapter length really doesn't matter. It's just an arbitrary thing. It's just like, I don't know, for some reason I'm feeling weird about it. It's officially been a week of NaNoWriMo. How did I do? I have never, I don't think, had such a successful NaNoWriMo week 1 before. So let's talk about what I've been able to do in NaNoWriMo so far. We're outside, it's freezing cold, I have hot chocolate. So today is November 7th and my word count is currently 13,711 words written for the month, which means I'm about 2,000 words ahead of schedule. Seventh Virtue, I believe, is sitting at around 26 chapters. It's just so exciting to see that I can actually like hit this goal. And I wanted to talk about the things that I've done this week to create a successful Nano week 1. So first of all, my strategy is to write every day and as consistently as possible, and then also try to stay ahead of the word count at least 1,000 words every single day. So for me, writing consistently can be difficult. I'm a student, I have classes, etc., etc. However, it has been my goal to try to write every single day, and I've done it. Now, my goal was technically to write at 10:30 in the morning, from 10:30 to 11:30 for an hour every day, which would hopefully take me to the 1667 words that I need. However, I had a bit of a rocky first week of November in general. Like I mentioned previously, I have chronic neck pain. It has been hard for me to accept that my pain is actually chronic, but it has been chronic, and it's not something I talk about on this channel. With that said, the first week was really hard for me. I woke up on, I believe I've been feeling a bit off since October 31st, since Halloween. The weather changed here quite drastically where I live, and I figure that is the reason why. But when NaNoWriMo started, I had like a pretty bad like flare up. I just want to be honest, because it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. I still managed to meet the word counts every single day, but I was definitely like in pain and quite stiff. So with that said, I'm trying to stand up as often as I can. I do have a standing desk. I'm going to continue to try to stand at all times instead of sitting down, and then obviously taking rests. But like I said, buffer of 1,000 words means that if I do fall behind, I'm not that far behind, and I've been at about a 2,000 word buffer every single day, and it hasn't been very difficult for me. I also analyzed what the rest of my November looks like, so I know how much work I need to do in order to stay on top of the goal. I've also decided that it's great if I reread what I wrote the day before and only do line edits during those rereads. I'm not somebody who really struggles with over editing my work too much as I go. I used to be that person who had to perfect everything because, you know, I would be very upset with it, but I've kind of reverted back to how I was when I was 13 and 14. Instead of doing any crazy line edits while I'm writing, I have just decided to do that while I'm rereading. I don't really tweak much. It's just like if there's a typo, if there's a more concise way to put something. I'm trying not to edit out the word count because obviously that's not ideal, but I don't really mind if I have to cut out a couple of sentences here or there. I also resist the urge to change things while drafting. It's a bit backwards for me because, again, I'm the kind of person who does edit as I go, but I don't think I really have time to do that in NaNoWriMo, so I've had to tell myself, no, wait, I will come back and I'll fix this later. I also go back into thin scenes, so basically when I start a writing session, I'll often go back and I'll add a paragraph to beef it up. So this increases the word count while I'm rereading, so it'll increase it maybe 100 to 200 words, and it also gets me into the mindset of writing because I will have been writing, you know, some new descriptions or some new internal monologue or something like that. So that has been my strategy. Now I wanted to close out this vlog by reading a couple of things that I have written, and then I'm gonna go inside because I'm freezing. So the first scene is Harrison, who is one of our main characters, with his best friend. They are in a library, and Harrison doesn't want to talk to anybody else but Foster, who's his best friend. Everybody else is causing him grief, and he's tired of grief. And this is a first draft, obviously. These are both going to be first drafts. While Harrison can't make this declaration permanent, he can ensure that Foster is the only person he talks to, at least for tonight. Unlike their last visit to the library, Harrison nor Foster abuse the drinks cart and instead opt to share a mug of salted rosemary hot chocolate, which sounds fucking ridiculous, but it's apparently the only type of hot chocolate the Petersons stock. Masochists. Quickly, they realize this is a problem. Despite Foster and Harrison being friends for half of their lives and living together for most of that time, they've never had to share a hot drink. According to Foster, Harrison drinks things at a murderously hot temperature, and according to Harrison, Foster's drink temperature preference is pool water tepid. In the end, they heat the drink halfway to both their preferences and try not to laugh at the other's grimace each time he takes a sip. That was based off of my sister and I. I am Foster and my sister is Harrison, and I asked her, who do you think would like the murderously hot temperatures that you drink? And she said Harrison, so that's how I wrote it. Foster flicks through a pile of books on ancient medicine, and Harrison pretends to understand what the hell an abstract is every time he flicks through a collection of academic articles. This is just CNF. Rachel getting fed up with academia. In his lap balances the jade scroll they'd found from before. Harrison had attempted to make sense of it, but quickly failed, hence why he turned to godforsaken academia. For a long time, this is all that happens. Foster turns pages what feels like every few seconds, and sometimes makes a strange sound of glee at something he's particularly excited about. Harrison groans at the utter stupidity of academia. Rachel, oh my god. And they both take almost satisfying sips of their shared hot chocolate. And it all feels so normal. So the next excerpt, content warning for vomit. Harrison is gonna go take care of his friend Aaron. As Harrison spritzes his last round of disinfectants everywhere, the world outside the cabin stills. Somewhere between wiping up the last of Darren's vomit, it's begun to snow. Usually, Harrison might be more aware that he's currently jacketless and will freeze his ass on the walk back to the estate. Me right now. But right now, the sight makes him breathless. In the early sun, snowflakes star the landscape, settle on silver birches. For a moment, the scent of gunpowder rings his nose, not scary, but welcomed, and he's 12. his hands around his mother's revolver, and she's telling him to get ready to eat dust because he's about to beat her at shooting tangerines 3-3, and there's one tangerine left, and he pulls the trigger, and a bullet rips straight through its citrus belly, and he's laughing, and she's laughing, and they're both cold enough for the canteen of hot chocolate she brought along to feel like their insides are ablaze, and their inhales cut like a stinging nettle on the back of a hand, but they are together, and beaming. How's your week 1 going if you're participating in NaNoWriMo? Let me know in the comments, but for now, I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.